Hello, everyone. Good evening. I hope that your day is going well, that you're having a great evening. Um, it has been a minute since I've been live, but I'm jumping right on in and starting this new series of Wellness and Wednesdays with Sherry Wherry, right? Of course, I had to include my name because it rhymes, so it makes it easy to, be memorable. But I want to actually take a few moments to explain just what Wellness Wednesdays is or what it will be, and also just to introduce myself to those of you all who may not actually know me. So, my name is Sherry Wherry. It rhymes. It is my real name. I have lots of fun with my name, to say the least. But I am actually the owner and founder of Wherry Consultation. So, I do have my own business right now. It is a side hustle that I do, but I'm a speaker, trainer, life coach. And also an author. I have two books that I published a few years ago, so you can check those out. One is an inspirational novel called Walking Through the Pain. And then I have a 21-day devotional that's called Overcoming Pain in 21 Days. So both of them are available on Amazon, or you can go to my website to get more information, which of course is sherrywherry.com. But to tell you all more just about who I am, I'm just really passionate about supporting people in their journey of meeting their goals. Really passionate when it comes to things about mental health and emotional wellness. From an educational standpoint, that's what my undergrad degree is in. I have a master's of social work. I'm a licensed social worker as well. And so I have had plenty of educational experience when it comes to that perspective, right? When it comes to just even work, I have extensive experience in social services and workforce development. I'm a corporate professional trainer. And so I have these opportunities in my life of really supporting people in their journeys. And then also, in addition to that, I'm a licensed minister. And so, from a spiritual wellness point, I also have the ability to be able to support people in that journey as well. And so, as you can see, I just love supporting people. I will be honest and tell you, I don't know everything. If I don't know something, I will definitely let you know. But what I am an expert in, I will also proudly and boldly let you know that as well. And so Wellness Wednesdays, honestly, is just birthed out of that. It's an opportunity for me to come on and to provide tips and resources and have real life discussions about what it means to be well from a mental and emotional standpoint, but also from a spiritual wellness standpoint as well. There is a lot happening in our world, right? 2025 has been interesting to say the least. But when it comes to just the necessity of having good sound information out there, I just wanted to be part of the discussion of good resources. At this point, because of the access that everyone has to a camera or a mobile device and an internet connection, you can have people who are unfortunately giving out bad information. And so just wanted to be that person to come on and have real discussions. I'll also say it's birthed out of just personal experiences that I've had when it comes to just interactions that I have, but then also just from a professional standpoint and also even from a spiritual standpoint as well, is just seeing that there are ways of coping that people tend to perpetuate that ultimately it's not really the best way to try to live well or to take care of oneself or even to take care of others. And so this whole platform of Wellness Wednesdays, again, is meant to just have great information out there. So I want to encourage you to drop your questions or comments in the chat, even if you're watching this on a replay. Just let me know just what topics that you would like to cover. Or you can also DM me. You can send me a personal message, or you can even email me as well to be able to let me know. And then that way, you can anonymously let me know just some things that you would like for me to discuss. And I'll be sure to cover that topic in one of the future episodes. So for this evening, one of the things that I really wanted to start off with being able to set the groundwork for just, again, what our discussions are going to look like is be able to then talk about when we have survived things And we use that survival as proof that something works well when actually we just learned how to overcome it, but it really wasn't the best way of just supporting us through that particular circumstance. So, for instance, when it comes to discipline and, what you do in your household is up to you, right? At the end of the day, what really matters most, sorry, just moving my water in. Out of the frame. But when it comes to just how you decide to live your life, it's up to you, right? I'm not here to say that there is just a one size fits all to how we navigate life, how we raise our children, take care of loved ones. But I am here to say is that there are healthy and unhealthy ways of doing that, right? And so, for instance, when it comes to even discipline, again, how you discipline your children is, up to you. But there are ways of discipline that, one, are abusive, and then two, that is really not the best way to be able to handle the situation, right? And so, depending on what type of household you may have grown up in, you may have grown up in households that use more abrasive and harsh ways of discipline. And so now you grow up and you're quote unquote successful, and you have your own family and you have your own job, and you have your own home, and you think that your current success is indicative of the fact that those harsher ways of discipline was actually appropriate, and it wasn't. Right? And so I want to talk through just that process of what it means to survive and what it means to thrive and what it means to actually use healthy ways of being able to connect with each other. Because we see this play out just every day online. We see it play out at work. We see it play out with our families and even in communities as well, where people have thoughts and connections to unhealthy ways of engaging with each other that actually is harmful. So, one, when you're looking at if some type of intervention or one way of engagement has actually worked with you, you want to really think about just the capacity and the space of the person, organization, or system that was providing it. Because if the person, organization, system, or environment is not healthy, then that means that that person, system, or organization or environment is more likely to actually replicate or create unhealthy ways of operating that really needs to be questioned and that needs to be improved. Now, if we're really honest about the way that we show up in our lives, and even the ways that people we love and care about, whether it's our grandparents or parents, supervisors, leaders, people that we're connected with, is that some things are birthed out of survival because that was the only option. Sometimes ways of living, ways of engaging, ways of talking, ways of even looking at certain situations is birthed out of survival because that was the only choice. So let me also say that as we go through this process, through these live discussions that I'll be doing, when I'm providing a critical analysis, is not from the point of condemning. We have to be honest about capacity and options and also privilege. Now, usually when you hear discussions of privilege, it centers around, for instance, racial privilege, right? When it comes to issues of diversity and inequities and discrimination and prejudice and racism. However, privilege can show up in so many ways. So, for instance, when it comes to a transportation perspective, we have a lot more privilege than those 400, 300 years ago, right? Is that we have cars, we have trains, we have hoverboards, we have helicopters, like we have jets, we have so many different ways, trains, right? We have so many ways of being able to get around that just wasn't always available to those that needed to navigate traveling from one place to another. And so when you're thinking about privilege, privilege can be connected to technology, it can be connected to certain access to resources, it can be connected to even the extent to which you had to focus on simply survival. And so, as we now stand in a place on the other side of privilege, where we now have access to more resources, more support, more opportunity to be able to have different choices to be able to make, Our critical analysis can't be rooted in condemnation without being holistically aware of the lack of privileges and access that maybe those before us had or did not have. And so, in this pursuit to be well, in this pursuit to improve, to expand, to grow, to do better, it's about being honest about what worked and did not work in the past, what worked and is not working right now in the present, so that now we can create a better future. And so I want to encourage you just in this moment to even take a moment to think about in your life, what things have you accepted? What patterns have you allowed to play in your life that really is not serving you well? Maybe it served you well in the past. Maybe it was just passed down to you and you just never questioned it. But let's be really honest about, have you survived or are you thriving? And so, with thinking through the difference between survival and thriving, when you're in a space of just survival, you're only focused on like the immediate things that are in front of you. Like, you can't do long term planning because you literally just have a moment's notice or just a few seconds to be able to make a quick decision so that you can continue to move forward. Right? Survival causes you to be in this heightened state of stress and overwhelm. And just from just a physiological standpoint, being in a constant place of stress and overwhelm is not good for you at all. It's going to wear down on your body. It's going to wear down on you mentally and emotionally. And it's going to cause you to make decisions that you normally would not make if you were not in that stressful situation. One of the common things that you hear a lot is that people will say that you don't really know someone until they're in a hard times, or you see them in difficulties, or you see them in stress. And while there certainly is some truth to that, right? Is that you do learn more about people when they are in difficult situations or they experience sadness or anger or frustration. I also want to present to you that you also don't know people if you only see them in high stress situations, or you only see them navigating problems, or you only see them navigating pain. Because again, they're in a heightened space of awareness, a heightened space of living, a heightened space of interacting with people, a heightened space of even how they see themselves. And so it's hard for you to get a holistic picture or understanding of something if you only have a few seconds to ascertain what's around you, right? And so, for instance, let's say if I was to tell you to walk into a room that you've never been before, you have 5 minutes to be able, or not 5 minutes, 5 seconds to be able to see who all is there, what they have on, what the temperature is, what's the decor, what's the layout, right? You're going to have very limited information in just those 5 seconds. But if I come back and say, oh, you have 5 minutes to walk around the space, you're going to have a lot more detailed information about that space and who's in it, because you've had more time to be able to evaluate your surroundings, and you were not under the stress of the constraints of times of only 5 seconds. Like, how much information can you really get in 5 seconds, right? And so when you're in this heightened space of like stress and awareness, it does prevent you from being able to see the totality of the capacity of a person, because you don't see them in a space of calm. And so while we can celebrate, someone who we consider to be, oh, this man is so strong, or this woman is so strong, or, they always handle this and that, I want to challenge you to start to think about, are we putting people in positions that actually ends up harming themselves because we don't also celebrate the calm? We don't celebrate the peace. We don't celebrate them asking for help. And so again, you also don't really know a person if you only know them in a state of heightened stress or overwhelm, or constantly need to solve a problem. And so maybe you're that person. Maybe you're the one that's always in these high stress situations, and you need to find spaces of calm. You need to find spaces of relaxation. You need to find spaces and people who pour back into you. You can't always be the person pouring back into someone else, right? And so when it comes to even being able to understand the totality of who a person is, yes, it's important to be able to see how people handle stress, but it's also important to see people in times of peace, right? One other just example that's coming to mind is, even for instance, when you think about parenting, for instance, and for parents who have to be single parents because the other parent just decides to just not take care of their responsibilities. Or let's say even other situations. Let's say if something happens to one parent and they pass away, and so you have a single mom or a single dad who now has to take on the whole responsibility of taking care of the children. And so now, if there's other extenuating circumstances that are happening, then that parent is really not able to be fully present for their children because they're in a constant state of stress or overwhelm. And so, yes, while they may do what they need to do in order to financially take care of the household, maybe emotionally they're not able to connect with the children because they're constantly in the state of trying to make sure they keep a roof over their children's head, and they buy food and necessities and school supplies and all the things related to after school activities, whether it's sports equipment or even instruments that's needed if they're part of the marching band or something like that, right? And so it's important then for us to be able to find spaces where we're not constantly in overwhelm, and also to find tools and strategies to help us to incorporate wellness into our routines, even as we navigate the stress and responsibilities that may be part of our lives. Because I guarantee you that, for instance, with the example of the single parent, if they were in a space, a different space financially, if they were working at a job that they felt fulfilled in, and they also had time to be able to take care of their physical wellness, mental wellness, emotional wellness, social wellness, financial wellness, intellectual wellness, spiritual wellness, they would parent a whole lot differently than when they don't have time to be able to focus on those things. And so it's the same thing with you. Maybe you're not a parent. Maybe you haven't had children yet, or maybe your children are adults and they're living on your own. But I want you to take time to think, is that, have you cultivated spaces where you can actually operate out of peace and wholeness and calm? Again, life is not going to be perfect. There's going to be some things that occur, but we shouldn't always be in this rat race where we're constantly, again, just stressed out and angry and frustrated and scared or lonely because of certain things that are happening. Now, there's some things that will happen outside of your control. So, for instance, let's say if you're going through a health issue, or let's say again if you lost a loved one, or let's say right now, for instance, we have several people who are actually out of work or even working without get paid, because of what is happening with the budget from a federal standpoint. Those things are outside of your control, right? And so when it comes to then how you can navigate that, how can you set up yourself, one, to have other opportunities and choices to be able to still care for yourself, even if your employment is being affected or if your health is being affected, or how can you lean on even a support of your community, right? Whether it's family members, friends, or other trusted people that's part of your circle. So I don't want to try to paint like this pretty picture, like everything's going to be perfect, or if your life isn't perfect, it's all your fault. I'm not saying that, right? Is that one would be in a social worker, I understand that yes, it's important to be aware of personal choice, but it's equally important to be aware of systemic influences when it comes to policies and environmental factors that also influence our individual lives as well, and that may exacerbate even personal choices that we've made. And so this whole discussion about wellness is about being honest, again, about what's working, what's not working, and what can we do differently. So I'm going to actually prepare to close out our time together. Again, this is just the first episode of Wellness Wednesdays with Wherry. Hey. Hey, friend. But one, I would love to hear from you, just your thoughts on what we discussed tonight. Again, any questions that you have, and any suggestions that you have for things for me to even talk about just on future episodes as well. You can connect with me online. I would love to continue this discussion with you by following me either on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or even YouTube as well. On Instagram, I'm Sherry_Wherry. So that's SHERRY WHERRY. On Threads, it's the same thing, right? And then on Facebook, Sherry C. Wherry is my business page. And then on YouTube, I am Sherry_Wherry TV. So Sherry Wherry TV, but it's Sherry_Wherry TV. So you can connect with me if you would like to send me an email. Again, with questions, you're more than welcome to do that. It's Sherry@SherryWherry.com. And so you're more than welcome to reach out to me via email to be able to do that. You're also welcome to reach out to me if you would like to connect with me when it comes to services. So I do offer one-on-one coaching services. I also am a speaker and a trainer. So if you would like to bring me in for your corporate event or even for a conference or a ministry event that you have, you can send me an email to be able to let me know just details about it. And if it works or connects with what I do, then we can definitely talk from there as well. So that is all that I have for you all on this evening. Again, if you would like to connect with me, ask questions, send me email, message me, whatever. Easiest way to find all that is on my website at sherrywherry.com, which is here at the bottom of the screen, scrolling across with that. So take care. Have a great evening and be intentional about healing, growing, thriving, and living well. Have a great evening, and I'll talk to you all later.